Chibli, it's not your fault, but I'm mad at you, okay? Because I feel like you're giving America and Americans way too much credit. When you made that tweet that said this is for satirical purposes, but I'm never leaving America again, I'm having the best time. You have to play hard. I understand that you're over there in Oceania. You don't understand the politics of North America. You have to play hardball with Americans sometimes. Because otherwise, they will play hardball with you. Americans will legit be like, oh, you have to come visit me because I don't have a passport. Okay, then get a passport. You don't understand. It's so much harder to get a passport in America for some reason that doesn't make any sense. It's the easiest country in the world to travel to and from, but for some reason, it's impossible for me to manifest the idea in my head of what it would be like to possess a document allowing me to freely leave my own country. You gotta play hardball, man. Next time, you have to, rather than being like, I'm coming back to Texas, you have to be like, you guys come to Wellington, or Auckland, or like Dunedin, or Christchurch, or wherever. I don't know where you live, honestly. Do you live in Hobart, Tasmania? To get a passport, I had to drive 3 hours from LA to San Diego and pay $300 just to get to Vancouver. This is what I mean when I say that Americans are like, you don't understand how hard it is for me. That's probably a little bit worse than the average passport experience, but it is not that atypical, man. Like a 10-year passport in Canada is like $160. The lines are insane right now. There was a viral story about like a woman who, right now, if you want to go to the passport office to get your passport, you have to line up at like 2 a.m. They stopped taking people at like 5 a.m. So instead, she just bought a plane ticket to go to Edmonton. And then there was like an $80 plane ticket, $110 or $160 for her passport, and $110 for next day service. See, this is a very similar story to what you're talking about right here. I'm not saying the system is good, just for the record. The system is bad. No, they have like crazy backups right now. Like normally, when I had to get my passport, I don't know, like renewed, must have been 2013 or something like that. I just had to go to the office and be like, you know, there was not that bad of a lineup. I waited for like an hour, and then I was like, I need to renew my passport. And they were like, okay, give me... Well, they always say, do you want a 5-year passport or a 10-year passport? And I'm like, that's a tough one. How about a 10-year passport so I don't have to do this shit immediately? Again, in 5 years? Anyway. That system worked fine for me, but apparently there's like a huge backup now. Probably because people let it lapse over COVID, which makes a lot of sense. Probably because people are traveling more now than they did over the past few years. Do you use Nexus? I used Nexus until I got ragged on by the border agent because my 1-year-old infant didn't have Nexus, and I had the audacity to drive into the Nexus line. And he asked if I would feel better if we went inside the secondary, if that would make my day better, and I said no. Anyway, so now we have to take our 2-year-old infant to a Nexus interview with a U.S. border agent somewhere, where I guess they're going to interrogate her and make sure she's not stealing a job from a U.S. citizen or something like that. So for now, we just drive through the normal side of the border. I don't want to complain, though. Last time we crossed the border, it was actually very easy. We finally had like the world's most sane border guard, and she was like, where are you going? And I said the name of the city. She said, why? I said, to visit my wife's family. And then she said, any alcohol or tobacco in the car? And I said, no. And then she said, have a nice day. And I was like, yo, I didn't know this is like a vision of what it could be like. That was like when I was at Subway, and while my sandwich was being toasted, instead of me and the sandwich artist just awkwardly looking at each other, she said, how's your day going so far? I was like, what? You can say that? This is a vision of what customer service could be like in a utopia? And I said, it's pretty good. How about you? And she said, yeah, good. And I was like, whoa, dude, this is crazy. No, I didn't get fined when we went into the Nexus line, even though our baby didn't have a Nexus. The dude really just was having like a power trip. We got a lot of recycled stories, so I apologize. But again, having a life that you actually like enjoy in your home country is like the ultimate anti-anxiety medication. Because he was going in. He was saying stuff like, are you taking this seriously? And I said, yeah, I'm taking this seriously. And he was like, well, it seems like you don't really care. And I was like, well, I do care. I guess I didn't say this next part, but in my head I was like, I apologize for having a deep voice. I apologize for not, like, I don't know, crying because I made an administrative mistake or whatever. And then he was like, well, like, you know, I could turn you around at the border and send you home. And I was, in my head, again, like, outwardly, I was like, please don't. But inwardly, I was like, oh no, send me back to my fucking house with my family. Do I need a lawyer? Like, it's literally, it's like a 45-minute drive away. What do you want me to do? Please, sir, please let me get into Blaine, Washington so I can buy some Tillamook cheddar cheese. Please, please. Just relax, dude. Don't you have bigger problems? You watch the news lately? My baby doesn't have a Nexus. That's fine. You know, there's a way that you could be like, you know, hey, just for future reference, don't use this line unless everybody in the car has a Nexus. That's a reasonable statement that would make me feel embarrassed that I didn't think about that and thought that my baby was an exception because the concept of interviewing a 2-year-old toddler to see if they can get a Nexus pass is ridiculous to me. But when you go in like so over the top like that, it's just like, I mean, you're just going, you're not even doing the Bond cop, you're just doing the bad cop. Nexus is like TSA pre-check for Canada and the US. So like, basically it creates a 2-tier system of citizenry where if you pay $100, you can get into a shorter line when you cross the border and save yourself like half an hour a trip. Kind of like a Disney Fast Pass. I know you guys are a big fan of that. Private roads. Well, it's also, I mean, I hate to say it, but it is amazing at the airport. Like, sometimes you get at the airport, there's like a 250-person line for security, then you flash your Nexus card and they take you to like a private lane. It's not even like an exclusive thing, like anybody can get it. I don't know, I guess like anybody without a criminal record can get it, but like, they make you feel like you're so exclusive. There's no minimum age for the Nexus. Yeah, I know, he's crazy, and like, I understand that they're trained to be assholes because they, I don't know, are trying to like root out drug traffickers or human traffickers and stuff like that. I feel like it's a very reasonable thing to assume that a 4-month-old infant wouldn't need a Nexus. Because it requires an interview at an in-person facility. It's crazy. You got like a little baby that can't even talk. They also deal with the same mistakes all the time. Well, I'm sure that's hard for them. Won't somebody think of the border agent? Maybe that's not what you meant, but that's the way I chose to take it. So is your baby gonna do the interview? Well, when they were closed for like 2 years because of COVID, and they couldn't even do the Nexus interviews unless you like flew to Montreal. But again, maybe it's good that I'm not like in a position of power as a world leader, because I said it before. Like, I feel like rather than border agents being assholes to nice people, in order to ensure that they catch like the 1 out of 10,000 people that are trying to smuggle cocaine across the border or whatever. We should run the risk of the opposite, border agents being nice to everybody and accidentally being too nice to the drug traffickers. Because I'm just saying this, like, they're real hard asses at the border for what I assume are largely, you know, drug and smuggling based reasons. People are still, they're like doing more drugs than ever. I think you might be kind of like ass at your job. So can you at least like be nice? I'm sorry. But like, whatever, the current system that you're using is not working to the standards that I think it would have to work to in order to justify me being condescended to every time I try to bring some tourism dollars to your nation. It's just madness. I'm not asking, oh, Mr. Letourneau, welcome back to the United States of America. May I interest you in a sale at the premium outlets? But like, just be like personable and like civil at least, or whatever. Canada border agents were super rude. Dude, yeah, you can also, I'm not even making this like a US v Canada thing. I had the same thing. There's a lot of like, I've had some very annoying experiences with Canadian border agents, but I think the older I get, like the more I realize that like, at least with the Canadian border agents, like without being too rude, what are they gonna do? Unless you broke the law, like you're a citizen. I mean, I'm a citizen, I should say. So maybe it's flipped if you're American. But whenever like the Canadian border agents are kind of like, you know, short with me, in my head I always just remind myself is like, we both know you're gonna let me in. I'm a citizen. You legally can't not let me in. They can arrest you for stupid answers. Those charges won't stick. They could ruin a day or and again, maybe this is coming from a place of privilege. But I have reached the point in my life, I'm almost like at a sovereign citizen level, where like anytime I go through the border and I know everything's on the up and up, I'm almost like, give me a reason. Go ahead, take me into second, illegally charge me with something. I would make my damn day to drag this out in the legal system for the next 10 years. Like, and that's not rational at all, but that is how I feel. Today I fucked up post to TIFU by daring the Canadian border agents to detain me. It turns out they do have some administrative powers. Who knew? But like again, the US border guard, you could ruin my weekend by being like, we're not allowing you to enter the US today. And I would be like, well, that sucks. But like, I don't know what a Canadian border guard can really do to me when I'm returning to my country and I have like a passport and a record of my citizenship. What are they gonna... Like, you could be as big of an asshole as you want, but I'm pretty sure in, like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to be sleeping in my own bed. You can waste my time. Well, a Canadian governmental entity wasting my time? That's a new one. Cavity search? Honestly, dude, that's an open door right now, so if I was ever going to get a cavity search, now's the time, because trust me, there's nothing in there. What about obstruction? Well, that's the thing is I'm actually, and this is probably why I've never had and may never have a problem, like in these situations, but I'm like a very compliant citizen. Like I'm basically a sheep. When I go through the border, like I'm not nervous because I'm not trying to smuggle like, you know, 20 bottles of Jim Beam back when you're only allowed to take back 6 because you were there for 48 hours or whatever. I just like go to the country and like eat some food, sleep, and then come back the next day. So whenever they're like, you know, oh, what were you doing? Oh, what did you have for dinner? What was the side that went alongside the ribs that you had? I'm always like, dude, no matter, you're not gonna, you can trip me up, you know, you can catch me in like a speaking error or something like that, but at the same time, I mean, you could tear all the quarter panels off my car, you're not gonna find anything, I don't even eat in here. I feel like I'm Candide and everybody else is Dr. Pangloss. Same shit with the grocery store. I'm like, the grocery store gives you like 0.1% cash back, only redeemable on whole wheat bread from a specific brand for 1 week out of the year. And I'm like, that shit sucks. Everybody else is like, well, it's better than nothing. I like to dream of a better world, man. They could have just given you nothing. Okay, I mean, I guess. Whole wheat bread is goated? Not this whole wheat bread, man. Not this whole wheat bread. This is from Bimbo International. Let's all calm down and take a body break. With Hal Logan and Joanne McLeod. Here come the whole wheat bread enjoyers to shit on the conversation. No, you're supposed to do... it's the Monsters, Inc. meme of all the monsters walking through the tunnel. And then the title is always like, whole wheat bread enjoyers on their way to add nothing to the conversation. You know what I'm talking about? You seen that one? Yes, yes. I've only seen the opera. Does Dr. Pangloss get syphilis in the book, Candide? Yes, he does. He gets syphilis and has to replace his nose with like a brass nose. But he's still pogged. He's honestly like, you know, yeah, I don't have a nose anymore because of syphilis, but like, life's still pretty sick, poggy. Amazing, thank you. I love referencing one of the 8 pieces of literature I read in freshman year English Lit. or classics, such as Antigone, Oedipus Rex, Bartleby the Scrivener, Candide, Catch-22. We read that in the senior year of high school. We read one of the novella sections of the Brothers Karamazov. Or is the Brothers Karamazov the novella section of War and Peace? Or Crime and Punishment. I can never remember. Both are true? That doesn't seem like that could be possible. Any true crime? I did not read any true crime in my English literature class. We watched season 2 of Making a Murderer on movie day. That's a joke. That came out like 15 years after I graduated from university. Oh yes, I read 1984 in 11th grade, which is the year that the book was titled. That was actually 20 years after, but that's okay. I'm mad about 1984 because it actually is like an insanely good book. It sucks that it's become like co-opted as like the ultimate reference to any corporate policy that you don't like. I didn't think it was mid, but maybe it's because when I read it in 11th grade, I was also listening to The Lonesome Crowded West over and over. Maybe I just actually like The Lonesome Crowded West.